Hello.
Hello, Uncle Tony. It's me, Claus. Hi, how you?
That's my nephew.
Yeah,
Claus.
I'm really stressed out, Tony. I
How
need
you
your
doing?
help.
Yes.
Stressed. How are you?
Oh, no, beautiful, beautiful. I'm just out enjoying the day.
Uncle Tony, you okay?
What's the matter?
You don't sound the same.
Well,
What's?
I sound a little bit different, yeah. I got a new phone. My niece got me a new phone here. It's
She did?
wireless.
Oh, it's better than your rotary one.
I don't know.
You like it?
I don't know if I like it too much. I think it's
No?
going to give me cancer.
Oh, well, there is that.
Huh?
I forget about the cancer. It's this Mr. Paul guy. He keeps sending me these games, and he's such a good player, and I don't know what to do. What if I screw up the commentary?
This Paul guy?
Yeah, Mr. Paul.
Paul.
Yeah, what the guy that I've been telling you
the-
about. He always sends me those games,
Did he steal your car?
No, he didn't steal my car. What does that have to do with it?
Did he kill your dog?
Oh, no, of course not. The dog's fine.
So what's the problem? You talk about him like he's John fucking Wick or something.
Yeah,
Huh?
but he's a really good player, and what if I screw up the commentary? I don't know if I got to...
Calm down. Act like a man. What's the matter with you? You call me today
Okay.
on the day that I'm counting my fresh tomatoes, and you whimper like a little girl. I'll tell you what you do. You relax. You have yourself another cup of coffee, a little espresso,
Yeah.
And then you get in there and you do your, what do you call them, commentary.
Well, it's the whole video and editing.
The little game you play there. Yeah.
It is a stupid game, yeah.
Okay.
Won't worry about the cancer.
I'll be okay.
Yeah, it's you always make me feel better.
Anytime you need some advice, you just give me a call, yeah. Okay.
I'll let you go. You can...
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, bye. Bye.
Yeah, ciao. Arrivederci. Disgraziato. Stupid. Playing a stupid little game like a little girl. Should go out and do something more important with his life. He should take that fucking computer and go up to the top of the house, open the window and throw the fucking thing out on the street. I thought he's never gonna amount to much. He could have had it all, And look at me. Look at these tomatoes. You ever see tomatoes like this? Beautiful, 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 I tell you.
He doesn't call himself Paul. He doesn't call himself Paulie. He does not call himself Paolo. He does not play on the Latin American server. He calls himself Mr. Paul. And he's driving the Tier 10 TVP T5051. He's platooned with a Leopard and an Object 268 version 4. Two buddies, Igdaf and Windex, was taking the easy way out by rolling out in an Object 268 version 4. These three guys are playing together, and I've had another cup of coffee here. And we're going to watch a couple of games here. Mr. Paul starring in both, platooned and carrying, and teaching us a little bit about this silly game that we play. Here he comes. This is one of those, they call it assault, because they have to assault. They have to go assault the enemy team, and Mr. Paul is assaulting immediately here. And they have to, how does it work? The other team does not have to assault. The other team has to defend that one little base. This change in the typical 2 base per game confuses a lot of people and causes a lot of the assaulting teams to not assault and a lot of the defending teams to scurry around and die quickly or hide until it's too late and over. But that's besides the point. Let's watch Mr. Paul here. Mr. Paul plays... I get nervous because Mr. Paul has sent me other replays. You've probably seen some Mr. Paul action on this. And let's count how many times I could say Mr. Paul in one video. He sent me lots of replays, this guy. So when I get one from him, I think not very much. And I just show it because I know it's going to be good. And I'm doing something a little different here, just to relax so that I don't screw it up. I'm watching the games for the first time. I don't know what's going to happen. I put all the effort into the intro. Because why not? You know? Spice it up. Live a little. That's what I did. Now let's watch Mr. Paul and see how he does here. The platoon has 1 kill. They've assaulted this little ridgeline so far. They haven't assaulted much. Where would you go if it's an assault on this map? I don't know, the middle, the side. It doesn't really matter unless you just do something. The most important thing, I think, is to not do anything stupid. And you know, like that grillet over there who's doing something very stupid. He's ventured out into the open and thinks that the bushes will provide cover for him, which they do not. And is he dead? Yes, he's dead. Bushes do not stop heavy shells from traveling through them. Buildings do. So you cannot side scrape on a bush, is what I'm trying to say. Not that, you know, I'm suggesting the grillet should have side scraped, but I just thought I would mention that. Okay, so now Mr. Paul is moving up, and he is going to shoot someone in the derriere. But he will not penetrate because, well, let's face it. Why didn't he penetrate? I'm not sure why he didn't penetrate, but he's not penetrating a lot. Not penetrating from the rear is also, well, it's good and bad. And in this game, it's bad. Not that there's anything wrong with penetrating from the rear in other situations in which some find enjoyment out of the rear. Let me just sip my coffee here a little bit more. It's hairy, the situation that's the platoon finds itself in now. Most of their team has died because they've all done something stupid, most of them. But they have not. They are coordinating, and Mr. Paul is going to try and... Oh, whoa, ho, 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 ho! He's just seen some... You notice he saw someone and just said, well, I'm in trouble now. Let me just get in a position where I only have to deal with one enemy that's firing back rather than, you know, stopping and letting them all fire back. And he's emptied his whole clip. And I'm looking at the minimap. There's a T-49 behind him. And speaking of being penetrated from the rear, if you're going to get penetrated from the rear, the most uncomfortable tank to get penetrated from the rear from, well, one of them is the T-49. And he did the little dipsy doodling, you know. I don't like it that way, is what he said. And the T-49 missed. And that's what, you know, he avoided some like to avoid the rear penetration. Run, Mr. Paul, run! Mr. Paul is a teacher. Mr. Paul has used my video in the past to help in his class. And I am bound and determined that he will use this video. You are watching, right, class? Class? The point of my commentary in this one is, well, look at this. Did they win? No, not yet. It's not over. You know, forget about the game. What you're watching is just the background. It's me. You should be listening. This is the important. This is what it's all about. And the commentary here is the debate on what constitutes comedy and fun and games, and what constitutes comments that will get people butthurt, is in the principle here. Comedy, you can make jokes about things, situations, actions, nationalities, stereotypes, different things that and you kind of go to the push it to the edge, you know, and repeat and say things that are on the that little razor edge of being construed as offensive or politically incorrect, but in a comedic fashion, which not only provokes laughter, but possibly a follow-up discussion on whether it was appropriate in the first place. And that's why comedy is so important in the world we live in. Because if you just take things seriously all the time, well, then what you do is you preclude yourself from having that one big belly laugh, which may release endorphins and chemicals into your body that will make you feel better and help you live longer, is what I'm trying to... Look at that. They've won. Look at this. Huh? Look at that. Mr. Paul and Igdaf and Windex. Good job. Good job.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that. Magnificent. Magnificent.
Is it in bad taste for me to depict a character that of Italian heritage with a basket of tomatoes? No one would even have asked this question 20 years ago, but today I'm sure that there are some people, probably who are not Italian, who do not like tomatoes, or maybe they do, I'm not sure, but that could get really upset and then make it their mission for a period of time in their life to speak out against such obvious stereotyping and racial discrimination and racism blatantly, and perhaps even through social media lobby the government, using Twitter and Facebook and whatever the other ones, Instagrams, to try and pass a law that would require people to not associate Italians with tomatoes. And in fact, there are other kinds of fruits and different races that if they're mentioned together in the same sentence, or if they're depicted on a video, for instance, a certain person, certain race eating a certain fruit, could get you in a lot of trouble. Even though it may be true, it may in fact be true that they particularly are fond of that type of fruit, or or vegetable. It doesn't really matter. For example, I'll give you another example. Is quite often when showing Swedish tanks, I refer to the pastime that the Swedish people have of yodeling. Yodeling in the mountains, as kind of it's funny, and it gets a laugh. And I've repeated it many times, and I guess that would it's become kind of a meme on the channel. But some people that hear it for the first time, they write in the comments, Klaus, just by the way, people in Sweden don't yodel. One of the funniest replies, one of you guys, an old-time Klaus subscriber, when he read one of those comments, someone said, "Hey, Swedish people don't yodel." His reply was, "Klaus Kellerman says Swedes yodel, therefore they do." Which I thought that was one of the funniest. But I digress. The point of it is, I'm going to, in a roundabout way, I'm making a point here. If I made fun of a certain country or group of people, made fun of their yodeling, and they actually did yodel, there is probably a country where people do yodel. And if I made fun of them yodeling, then it could be construed as politically incorrect to do that. But because I make fun of Swedish people yodeling, then it annoys some people, and some people don't get it. But it passes as attempt at comedy. So my question then is why is it more politically incorrect to try and make a joke, say about a group of people that have a certain characteristic, and you make that just happen as a group on average to behave a certain way or have a certain characteristic, and you make a joke about that particular characteristic or that particular behavior because it is true that in general that group behaves or exhibits that characteristic as a group more often than others, and you make a joke about that, then that's not acceptable to a lot of people who are not even in that group, people that are, did you hear what he said about, and you can insert the whatever group you want here that behaves in a certain way. He made a joke about that. Why is that provokes the social justice police types to launch into a I am shocked that what I just heard. And I think the answer is, you can debate it with your class there, Mr. Paul, but I think the answer is that everyone has too much free time and is doing pretty good these days. You know, like there's not a lot of shit going on that to occupy them otherwise, so they can get all butthurt about nonsense, right? Because they don't have to go out and like look for food or figure out where they're gonna sleep that night or try and figure out how they're going to defend themselves versus the oncoming enemies that are going to take over their country. Yeah, they can just hang out at coffee shops and fuck that dog and really not think about much until did you hear what so and so tweeted? And then they launch all their energies into counter tweets and what have you. And are you following what I'm trying to say? Are you following what's going on in the game? Look at the game for a minute. Have you ever seen a situation like this where the whole team, well, pretty much the whole team is right up against the edge of the map? Like, what are you guys doing? You notice that? It's like, well, I guess they've all retreated, except for their Death Star. Well, guys, my Uncle Tony told me to relax, and so I have. I'm just, I usually get stressed out when Mr. Paul sends me a video because I have to like figure out what to do and don't want to let him down. So this time I'm going into it, not having seen the game, and I didn't have a script. That's the problem. That's why it's all gone to shit here. But I'm noticing that he's not detected. He's found a spot here on this map where he can just sit at the back and not be detected. Way to go, Mr. Paul. He's in the water. He's looking at himself, and he's they're all on the except for the object. Who is the object? Is it still Windex? In the object? Yeah, it's Windex. He's the guy that's furthest up there. Look at the team. What the hell is going on in this game? This is ridiculous. The game distracted me from my moral commentary and thing that you guys had to discuss. But you can only go on about a topic for so long. I didn't know this game was going to last as long as it did. So the question is, was there a question? Yeah. The question is, why is certain harmless little things that you could talk about? Why are some of those things so offensive to people? Dumb little things, like obviously the stupid joke type things that all of a sudden have crept into the realm of being like borderline racist these days. These days that we live in. I think we're just complicating it for ourselves. We're just making it too complicated. There's too many things to think about, what kind of fruit. And when you're talking about someone, you have to figure out, well, what part of the world is he from and his descendants are from, and would that make him belong to this particular class? So if I mention that particular person from that particular part of the world that had this type of history, and I use in a sentence that he may be eating a certain type of fruit, I may be in trouble, and it's just it's all too much. It's all too much. Everything's complicated, so the only way to be safe is to just not say anything, which is this is not one of my strengths. Although in this particular replay, I'm wondering. Okay, let's get back to it. You guys, you're like all on the edge, like live on the edge. Yeah, but I mean, or play on the edge. you guys have taken the meaning of that to the opposite extreme here. You are literally on the edge. But Mr. Paul is launched into action now. Why is he launched into action? Because as he noticed that living on the edge was too dangerous, and all his teammates were getting picked off one by one. So rather than live on the edge, what is going on here? They're all three going together? Does that make any sense? Have you ever seen that before? People doing things together? Wow, that's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible. Mr. Paul, somehow you convinced your teammates to do something with you, and it worked out pretty good. Now, speaking of pretty good, I still have half a cup of coffee here. Oh, who's that with you? Is that Igdaf? Igdaf. Now, I'm probably in trouble for saying Igdaf, even though he spelled his in-game name Igdaf. I call him Igdaf. Yeah, I don't know whether that's a problem or not, but Igdaf is with him, and someone else is with him, and it's three of them, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can tell that I'm watching this for the first time, can't you? You're witnessing the unrehearsed Klaus. Raw, you know? Raw. Here he goes. You gonna take him out? Oh, Igdaf got him. Did Igdaf? No. Yeah, Igdaf got. No, I don't know who got him. Someone got him, and he bounced. Oh, that's a Russian. Can't shoot one of those Russian ones in the side. And now Mr. Paul is loaning a premium ammo for the first time. Shout out to you that he only had one in the clip, and he left it in the clip. Oh no, he's typing in the chat. Shit, I should have reloaded. Okay, well, is he going to be able to pen any of these shots? Let's see. 1 out of 2. 2 out of 3. That one missed. 2 out of 4. Someone's in the cap. Someone's in the cap. Someone better do something about someone in the cap. Mr. Paul can't because he's reloading. Why would he sit in the cap now? Why would only one of them sit in the cap? Why don't the enemies have a plan? That one didn't go in. That one did. That one did. Yeah. And now it's 2 of them versus 3. Mr. Paul, forget about the T-57 Heavy. Go get the artillery. Go get the artillery. But Mr. Paul is unselfish. He's going to let the Patton go for the artillery, and he is going to... Are you unselfish? No, he's fought. Mr. Paul, I'm not sure what you're going to do. They're pinging. Their T-57 one-shot, says Mr. Paul, because he's noticed that. They're hiding in the bushes. There's no sense doing anything stupid right away. He's creating a little nice... knocking down trees, I think, so that the artillery can see him. And I'm sure he did it on purpose. He probably wants the artillery to think he's nesting there, and he left. That's what I'm thinking. And the Leopard is pinging. Everyone's pinging. Mr. Paul is going to go back. He hit the tank, so he's typing something. What is he typing? Are you typing something, Mr. Paul? Yeah, he hit another dead tank. Yeah, oh, there he is. There he goes. He's going back. Not sure if T-57 is behind us. Because he does not want to, from behind. He doesn't want that T-57 to come from behind, so he's going that way. Patton's going the other way. And this is very unselfish, because if he went north, he could probably easily get 2 artillery kills. Yeah, see, the Patton's going to get one. It's a lot safer to just talk about the game, instead of talking about fruit and nationalities and races and stereotypes and, And I'll have you know that I, in particular, do enjoy fresh tomatoes. I like them. A little bit of salt and fresh out of the... I like to put them in the fridge so they cool off and just eat them like that, just raw on an afternoon with a little piece of cheese. It's, there's nothing better than that. Well, there's a few things better than that, but yeah, I've never been able to really grow them myself. I tried a few times, but I get these little green balls. They never ripen. So there is that, and I guess this one's a win.
Disgraziato. These young kids these days. never amount to anything. Playing stupid games all the time, getting all worked up. Who gives a shit? He could have had it all, you know. He could have had it all if he just focused a little focused, and a little bit of discipline. Look at me. I've got it all. Look at these tomatoes. Beautiful. Magnificent. Look at this. Just gorgeous. Doesn't get any better than that. Beautiful day.